at the Magi coming to find Jesus, I see that they came with expectant worship. In other words, they were ready to worship. They wanted to worship. And hopefully by the end of my part in this service today, you will understand where this desire to worship came from in the Magi. They came expecting something. They didn't come expecting nothing. Now, let me ask you a question. If everywhere you went, you expected nothing, would you go? Let me say that again. If everywhere you went, you expected nothing, would you continue to go there? Well, of course not. Right? They expected something. They came expecting something. You see, something is much better than, oh, you got it. Something is much better than nothing. So they traveled 1,000 miles. And listen, that's a long way when you're traveling on a camel. Anybody come here on a camel today? I didn't think so. They traveled 1,000 miles to find this child that was under a star. They came from the far east. They were magi. Now, I may mess up your theology or your understanding of the nativity today, but I got to tell you the truth, okay? So you understand. I love nativity scenes. I think there should be a nativity scene on every government place. Boy, wouldn't Donald Trump really tweet then? But anyhow, I love nativity scenes. But you see, when we talk about the Magi, they actually came to see Jesus after He was born, and He was everybody say toddler. How many know what a toddler is? They're curtain climbers. You know, some people call them ankle biters. I don't know. You know, they grab at your, you know, he was a toddler. He was already growing. He was not a baby in the manger. So we have this depiction in nativity scenes with the Magi, you know, around, and it looks pretty, doesn't it? It really does. I don't want to mess y'all up. Keep your Magi there. It's okay. But that's not really how it was. The Magi came to see Jesus after He was a toddler. Now, let's look at this scripture. Chapter 2, verse 1. Now after, everybody say after. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men came from the east, which was, everybody say Persia. They came from the east. From the east they came to Jerusalem. And by the way, I'm using the ESV version. I hope it doesn't upset anybody. I love all the versions of the Bible. But there's a wording here that I really want to get into today. So they came from the east, or Persia, to Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is not Bethlehem. We know that. We know He was born in Bethlehem. But they came to Jerusalem. Why did they come to Jerusalem? Because they wanted to find out where this child was that they have heard about. And they asked this question, and they asked leaders, they asked in the synagogues, where is He who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw, everybody say, His star. For we saw His star when it rose. Now this is very important because I'm going to take you back into Old Testament prophecy in just a moment. The Magi said, we have seen His star when it rose, when it came up, and have come to what? They have come to worship Him. Their their whole plan, their whole desire, their intent and their purpose was to come and worship this King of the Jews who was born in Bethlehem. Isn't that good? When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him, assembling all the chief priests and scribes and people. He inquired of them where the Christ was to be born, and they told him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet. By the way, that prophet is Micah chapter 5 verse 2. And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, and by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. So we have the Magi, and by the way, the Magi comes from the term magician. Now I'm going to really mess up your theology now. The Magi were actually astronomers or astrologists. Or you could even say sorcerers. And they were very wealthy people. They had much wealth. And their greatest wealth was, how many know what it was? 3 things. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Thank you. I know you knew that. They were very wealthy people. And they were depended upon for direction. They were like from Old Testament prophecy. They were used many times to interpret dreams, to tell stories, or to lead nations and help kings and